tomorrow I'm going to try and make dal makhni. So I'm going to soak some urad dal with some regular lentil. And regular dal. And some red lentil. So I've washed this dal until the water became clear, and I'm putting it to soak overnight. I'm going to boil some soya chunks here to make tandoori soya. This Diwali I'm not making traditional food, I'm making a little more authentic Indian food. So tandoori soya. So this is my grains of all the different dals going in. I just put some butter at the bottom of the pan. I'm going to add some water and allow it to boil. The seasonings I'm going to add in this will be salt, black pepper, turmeric, paprika. So I'm going to leave this on a medium heat and I'm going to cover it, but I'm not going to cover the pan all the way and seal it off. I'm going to put a doubler that wouldn't stick across and rest the lid on top of it, and you'll see that later on when I'm doing my rice, so that it locks in all the heat and it boils up the dals quickly. And even though this was soaked overnight, it's still going to take about an hour to come to a boil. So you have to just keep stirring it in between and covering it back. Usually they use the urad dal with the skin on it, and they also add some red beans, but I didn't have either of those, so I'm making it with the skinless urad dal, and all the other grains I'm using the red lentils, regular dal, and normal brown lentils. And when this starts to boil, you'll notice some frothy bubbles are going to appear at the top, some scum or impurities. You need to scoop all of that out. You can do it with chana, you can do it with any other beans or even meats when you're cooking. You scoop that frothy impurities out of the pot and throw it away. So my soya has finished boiling, and I boiled it with some salt. I'm adding some plain yogurt here to it, and then I'm going to add the store-bought tandoori powder. I'm going to add that in it, and I also added some green seasoning to this. Tossed it up, and you have to leave this to marinate for a while, maybe half an hour to an hour, or as long as you can. I usually cook everything for myself, prepare everything for myself, but I do the dishes like 2 by 2, so that I don't get flustered and nothing burns and nothing. I don't have to be hustling. So this is my way of doing things. I didn't start too early. I started after 9, but that should take me to lunchtime. So I'm going to make some okra and aloo with a little curry in it, and I asked my husband to cut up the okra for me, but he cut it up and then wash it, so it became very, very slimy in the pot. I don't think he knew that would happen. So I'm just going to add, this is the first time I'm trying okra with a little bit of curry in it, and I've cut up 2 potatoes very, very thin, sliced them up very thin to add to the okra. This is my normal aromatics, which is mustard seeds, fenugreek, and I have some pimento in here. So it's just a little bit of curry is going into this pot before I add the okra and aloo. And for these type of vegetable dishes, you have to keep the heat on low, and you have to always keep turning the pot. Like every 10 minutes or so, you keep turning the pot so that everything coats with your curries and seasoning, and it all fries up with the little bit of oil that you put in the pot. I never overdouse my vegetables with a lot of oil, even though it's coconut oil. I never use too much. So the next thing I have to do is prepare the tadka, or prepare the tempering. That's the English word. Prepare the things to chunky my lentils. So I had some frozen tomatoes, so I'm just cutting them in quarters, peeling off the skin, and I'm going to blend them up together with some pimento and prepare the tadka. That's the Indian word, the tempering of this dal makhni. So in a saucepan, I'm adding my normal mustard seeds, my methi, and I'm adding some ground ginger here, and I'm going to add in all the tomato. It required tomato paste, but I didn't have that, so I blended some fresh tomatoes and added a little bit of tomato ketchup in it with the pimentos. So, and a piece of butter. So we're just going to leave this heat on maybe medium and just cook it down a little bit. And you want to season up the tomatoes with a little bit of salt, black pepper, and also I added some garam masala, which I got in the supermarket. You will see the packaging later. And I forget to put some jeera into the oil before I put in the tomatoes, so I'm going to add some jeera to the top of this, some ground jeera. This is the garam masala that I bought. This dish also requires some kasturi methi or the green methi leaves, but I don't have any. I'm waiting on my son to bring some for me from by my mom. So for the peas, if you have a thunder stick, you could use a thunder stick and just crush some of them. I don't have one, so I'm going to use the traditional wooden ones and crush it with my hands. I'll get some more muscles maybe. I'm doing some basmati rice to go with this dish, and my husband ordered some roti. So I'm just going to show you how I cover the pot when the lid doesn't have a hole for the steam. I just use that wooden dabla and put the lid on top to leave a space. So to the lentils, I'm going to add the tadka that I just showed you. I'm going to add it in, and my lentils are still on low to medium heat. I'm just going to stir that in and allow it to take in all those flavors. And this is the first time I'm making this dal makhni. I've had it many times, but this is the first time I'm making it on my own. So let's hope it comes out good. So my soya chunks has been marinating. I'm going to put them on some skewers, and I just lightly butter the dish, and I'm going to put it in the oven for about 20 to 30 minutes. This is also the first time that I'm making tandoori soya chunks. So it smells good. I hope it tastes good. So this is how my basmati rice has fluffed up. So all I need to do is strain this now and then put it back in the pan. To my dal makhni, I'm going to add a little bit of sour cream to the top. They usually add cream, just cream, heavy cream, but I'm adding some sour cream to the top of my dal makhni. I also added some 2 chili peppers whole, and I'm still waiting on the kasturi methi from my mother. My son is on his way for the longest while. So I left a little hole in my rice, in the middle of my rice, so that it breathes. Now I'm going to cook some pak choy. Normal way I'm cooking the pak choy. Fry it up with some tomatoes, pimentos. These are all my tandoori sticks going into the oven. And this is my pak choy going in. The heat on this is also very low. You see, I use my hands and scoop out everything from the basin. I don't leave back anything to waste. So I'm just seasoning this with some salt and black pepper. I'm not going to use anything, not much more flavors to pak choy. It doesn't need anything more for me. I make it like this usually. And if any guest is coming by me today hoping to get traditional chana and aloo, mango, pumpkin and roti, they will be so disappointed. But I'm sorry, I've had that too many times over the fasting period, so I didn't feel fit. So I had some soya remaining and I'm just gonna stew it up. So I'm caramelizing, browning some sugar here. The only thing is that I added different to the soya, the already seasoned soya with the tandoori seasoning. I added some carrots and I added some pumpkin to it. So I'm just gonna let this sugar raise. And I like my sugar to, I don't like it too brown, but as soon as I see it starts to bubble a little bit, that's when I use the sugar. So I'm draining the soya with the carrots and pumpkin. Just gonna toss it up and then I'll add some water and bring it to a boil. So it's dal makhni rice, stew soya chunks, tandoori soya, pak choy with a little curry, okra and aloo. And this is my pak choy here. It's almost done. Just checking it and then I'm going to empty it up. And that's it for pak choy. So that's it for my cooking. I just want to wish everyone a very happy Diwali. May this Diwali bring you joy.